Look at that, starting on time for once. That never happens, and I've probably just jinxed everything. Okay, so tonight we are playing Warlock Traitors Edition by Fire Ruby Designs, and involving at least one friend of the channel whose name I have completely and already forgotten, but never mind. The guy who did Across 1,000 Dead Worlds has also been involved with Warlock and has an edition on his website as well, so you can go and check that out if you want. Warlock is a bit of a throwback to early days of British role-playing games. It's kind of a hybrid between fighting fantasy and Warhammer Fantasy roleplay. So if you played any of those, you've got some sort of idea of what you're in for, but more like it back in the early days, really. But yeah, if you imagine everything that happens being illustrated by Gary Chalk, you're probably not too far off. Rules-wise, how do you do stuff? You take a d20, you add your skill level, or if you can't think of an appropriate skill, but your career skill is something that should be able to cover it, you roll a d20, you add that. If you get over 20, you succeed. Easy tasks might get you a +2 bonus. Really easy tasks might get you a +4 bonus. And conversely, difficult -2, very difficult -4. If you're opposing somebody, you both roll, add your skill level, and compare the opposition things. Anytime you're called upon to use your luck, you roll it as a skill, but you also deduct 1 from your luck for the rest of the adventure. So you can literally run out of luck. So it's entirely up to you whether you want to roll your luck when it's called for or whether you don't. In combat, each side takes turns to activate a combatant and they do stuff. So it just swaps back and forth between the two teams. So you can decide who you want to go first, who you want to go last, whatever. You can have a brief little conflab and decide what order you want to go in. On your turns, you can move cautiously up to about 10 feet and take another action. Or you can move further than that by moving for your whole action. Ranges and things are all abstract. It's theatre of the mind, really. So you can describe things as being close, nearby, far away, or distant. Most of those probably won't come up in this game. When you get into melee, so you roll an opposed roll, but whoever's attacking gets a bonus of +5. So yeah, taking the initiative and attacking is advantageous. But you can lose that roll. And if you lose that roll when you attack someone, they get to hit you. So you get an advantage for attacking, but you could still get a knife in the ribs while you're trying to hit them. Ranged attacks are made using the range skill versus dodge. Shields can protect you from ranged attacks as well as helping in close combat. Damage, you roll the dice, then you roll the armor protection. You take the armor protection away from the damage, and whatever remains, yeah, that's what they take to their stamina. Let's see. If you roll a really good hit and your enemy rolls a really poor defense to the point where your to hit roll is 3 times their roll, you do a mighty blow which deals double damage. When you're reduced to 0 health, 0 stamina, you start taking critical hits. So you're not out at 0 health. You just start getting maimed horribly, which is fun. Every negative point of stamina adds 1 to the critical hit roll. And the higher the critical hit roll, the worse off you are, generally speaking. Stamina, it's not exactly health, really. You can get half of your lost stamina back by taking a short half-hour rest and some water, and you can recover the rest with a night's sleep and some medical attention. But that's pretty much it. Spells cost stamina to use, so you're going to have to make a real sort of cost-benefit analysis before resorting to magic. So let's bring everyone in. Bonk, 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 bonk. Once there was roleplay. There will be roleplay. Hold your horses. All right, so let me give you your little briefing. So you are travelers for various reasons, seeking out new mines and new people to steal from, or whatever the case may be. But generally speaking, you are travelers for the most part. A while ago, you pitched up at a little village on the banks of the Catfish River, close to the Moonstone Hills, called Wisier Ford, where basically a cart track crossed the river. The river's not deep or big enough to be navigable, but at least it's a source of water, so that's something. In this area, the land is in a sort of uneasy peace between humans, goblinoids, and other humanoid species. So not every orc you run into is necessarily someone you can kill. So they are probably not particularly nice or particularly clean to be around should you run into them. While you were taking shelter in this village, things went south pretty quickly. A plague ripped through the village and killed off a huge chunk of the population. What was left of the local peasantry and artisans and so on packed up all their shit and left, along with many of the other travelers. You were kind of left behind for whatever reason, probably not having horses. But the supplies and so on that have kept you going, you mysteriously haven't gotten ill for some reason. They've all begun to run out. You're going to need to find shelter somewhere else. Meeting up in the little hall of the hostelry that you've been staying in. The last of the proper firewood is in the grate, burning away. And it sucks up to the chimney into the chill night outside. The closest place, you reckon, is the walled village of Fretfolk up on Mokelith, one of the first of the Moonstone Hills to be worthy of the name. It's about 3 days hence, but you probably need to make some sort of travel plan or preparations as best you can. So as we join you, it is early morning, so early that the sun isn't yet fully up. The fire is crackling in the grate, and you are gathered around one of the larger wooden tables with the last of the ale and the moldy bread, trying to figure out your plan. So, do you want to quickly introduce your characters, and we'll take it from there?
Okay, I'm playing Gerardo Gazunda, the halfling wizard's apprentice who has, well, you'll see in the game if we ever run into any women. And I'm the Witch King of Samra, of course, and yeah. So, on to the next one.
I'm playing Angel Maloye, and she is an elf and enjoys hunting and uses her bow quite well.
And I am playing a dwarf, who's capable and energetic. His name is Maldwin Bulch, and who has experience mining. He used to be a miner.
Yeah, mostly tin. And there you go.
Yeah, Winton, a human, true-blooded, who has a sort of strange double life. When this place was occupied, he would sit at the side of the road in a cloak that absolutely stank. the rest of the assembled company, being sundry sort of presumably low lives, travellers, and wastrels, probably noticed the fact that he assiduously went and found some sort of dunghill and scraped out the sludge from the very, very bottom, and very carefully treated his cloak to ensure that the stench remained ripe every single day. As he sat on the bridge where the road crossed the river, shaking a begging bowl, but seemingly, if anybody paid any attention, he wasn't actually trying to earn any money. It looked rather like he was watching the road for something more interesting to pass by.
Thank you, sir. Don't mind me, just establishing an alibi.
It also, when you see him working, he exaggerates and coughs up. Seems to be consumptive, coughing up blood. And again, you might notice him occasionally visiting a local blackberry bush to collect this blood, which he tucks in his cheeks and spits out at opportune moments. But when not working, he's actually like Michael Palin's cured leper. Spirit talent for an old ex-leper came along, cured me, but that's a bunch to buy your leave. He's much kind of bouncier and less taciturn when not working.
Yeah, which coincides with everyone dying of the plague. So he seems oddly cheerful and clean now that everyone's dead. But yes, all right. So you are gathered around the table. You know, the last of the candles, the last of the wood in the fire, the last of the ale in your cups. A crude map of the local area you took from the headman's cottage, sort of laid out on the table, weighed down with pewter plates. And yeah, the closest place is Fretfolk up on Moplith.
And we're the last people in town, in the village.
Everyone else has either died of the plague or left and then died of the plague.
Wonderful. Well, boys and girls, it appears we have but only one parent choice for now. I would say we would gather our strength, whatever of it that remains, and try to make way for this place called, on the map? Fretfolk. Yeah, Fretfolk.
Sounds good to me.
So it's a 3-day walk?
Yeah, 3-day trudge.
Okay.
Up a slight incline, which is obviously further if you're a halfling, but
3 days? Come on.
Can we search and find like some basic supplies that were left behind, like camping supplies, tents, that kind of thing?
Yeah. No tents, but you can probably find some tarp and some wooden stakes, no problem. In some of the outbuildings and so on.
Is the black cloak I have like waterproof or something as well, or is it just a cloak?
It's spangly. Like it has little moons and stars and things.
Okay, because I was hoping that I could like sleep in it and not get wet or something.
It's warm, but it's for show.
Okay.
Partly.
We definitely need those tarps then.
Yes. Yes, you can get those. A few blankets, things like that. No problem. You've still got your trail rations from when you were traveling before, which should be on your character sheets.
Yep.
But just one day of rations for me.
We have to share with somebody else or do some hunting.
Yep.
What's the environment in the area like? Is it like a swamp? Is it like a...
Okay, so this...
moors?
Yeah, it's moors around the village. The village has the hostelry for travelers, the headman's house, a couple of other older, grander buildings, and then it's little croft farms kind of radiating around it in a circle, and then you're out onto the blasted heath and moors.
Okay.
So there's a lot of stone tors out there, little copses of short, twisted trees, but not a great deal of cover. It's very hummocky, though.
Yeah, this is going to be tough.
Yeah, there is a cart trail that heads northeast up towards Fretfolk and Moplith. There might be a couple of farms dotted out there as well, close to the trail. So you might be able to find some shelter out there, but the tarp and so on is a good idea anyway.
So, is there any other food we can scrabble together in the village, or do we need to go to like one of the farms and scavenge food from there?
You can go and look if you want, but the people fleeing will have taken a lot of stuff with them probably.
And what they didn't take, I stole.
So yeah, it'll be difficult to find anything, but I will let you make rolls if you want to decide to quickly do a survey of the buildings for anything you missed.
Yeah, let's do that so we can have Maldwin have some food if possible.
Okay, so first roll of the game, D20, add your spot skill, and tell me what you get.
Okay, what is my spot skill? Spot is 6. That is an 8.
Found a spoon, sir.
Someone else want to help?
I got a 20 on the dot. So you add the 8 to it. So I rolled a 12.
You get from your spot skill, yeah. So it's 20.
Let me also try. No, it's just a 14.
That's with your skill added, yeah?
With my skill, yeah. It was an 8
Okay.
plus 6.
And Winton had already stolen stuff.
Yes, he's got his bag of whatever the villagers had forgotten to unbury from their hearths and so on and so forth, and 2 days of trail rations. Since he doesn't invest in the future, it is presumed that he's stolen this.
Okay. So it was just Engel that found anything?
Yeah, I think so, because I only rolled an 8.
Yeah. You find ripening on a beam in one of the cottages a wheel of cheese wrapped in cloth.
Nice.
Yeah. So provided you like cheese and you don't mind being constipated, that's worth a day's rations.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. So you meet back up, having gathered the tarp, some rope, some wooden stakes and things. So you should at least be able to make a shelter or lay it out on the ground so the damp doesn't get you. So that's at least something. The sun has finally waddled its way up into the sky and is shining through the grey clouds and Jacob's ladders that reach down to the ground and speckle the heath and moorland. No better time than the present to get going.
Wonderful. Then I would suggest we shall be on our way.
Okay. All right. Your first day of walking is fairly uneventful. It's really just trudging along this trail. You do pass a wagon off to the side of the road. There's a little tent beside it with a couple in it that seem to have died late from the plague. There's no sign of whatever horse or ox or whatever they were using to pull the cart, but some of their supplies are still in there. Enough to replenish the day's supplies that you've all just used. So,
Okay.
I do sometimes play elf games.
I would assume we just take the supplies.
Yeah, I mean, as we're traveling, Can I actively hunt while we travel, or
Yeah. Let's see. What would be probably hunt? Hunter would be the thing to roll for that. Or survival. Yeah, hunter or survival, whichever's highest.
hunter?
You can roll.
That's weird. I'm a hunter and I don't have a hunter skill.
It should be under career skills, under the main skills heading.
Oh, okay. I'm not a very good hunter today. I walk through the forest and I am easily distracted by the bugs and butterflies and squirrels.
There's not a lot of good eating on a squirrel. There's not a lot of cover, so the animals see you coming, despite your elven stealthiness. So it doesn't go too well for you there, really. Good thing you found that wagon, really. All right. Do you want to hunt again on the second day of travel?
I would. It went a little worse today.
You receive a ransom note from some rabbits saying they have your elf.
They just got her.
Okay, so on the second day, when the sun begins to set and you start thinking about making camp, can you all make spot rolls, please?
Yes.
Which roll?
Okay.
So close. 19 with the modifier.
16.
What was
Not-
the skill?
Spot.
Spot. Oh. No.
Sorry, did Winton succeed or fail?
He didn't know he failed.
Okay. All right.
He's
so
assuming the eagle-eyed elf has got it all covered.
I got.
what do your elven eyes see? Fuck all, I've got cataracts. 1,000 years old, get off my back. All right. You find a shallow scrape at the side of the road in the shelter, in the meager shelter of some prickly gorse bushes, and settle down there. Your second night in the elements, and there's not really much in the way of firewood around here. It's cold and damp. You're going to lose a point of stamina unless you can do something to keep yourselves warm and dry.
There's serves no.
Trying to look to my possessions. Huh.
Can I use one of my my bow and one of the arrows as like a like fire?
Yeah,
saw?
the problem is more that you don't have much to burn. There's not a lot of wood out here, and the dry heather and bracken burns really quickly and not very hot, and with a lot of smoke. So it's not exactly the best. There might be a copse of trees further out if you stray a bit, but finding your way back to the camp might be tricky unless you all go together.
I don't know. What could I do?
I mean, I'm okay with.
It's just the first point. What can happen, right? It's just.
What's the worst that could happen?
Famous
Funny.
last words.
Well, the elf and the dwarf can see pretty well at night.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I can
Yeah.
see it light. Yeah. So Winston, what are you thinking?
I think you're talking to me or to the thief. I'm the dwarf. Maldwin is the
Thief?
dwarf.
Thief?
Yeah.
Thief? Good grief.
Sorry, I was too direct.
Too on the nose, yes. Well, I personally was going to suggest shared bodily warmth. Hmm?
I'm not sure I want my pockets that close to you.
I don't think I'm big enough to be the little spoon.
Having had those two answers, Winton turns towards Maldwin with an expectant look.
I have no excuse but no.
Oh.
All right. Well, you settle down to a cold, damp night then.
Yeah.
Any nighttime preparations of any other kind, or
Should we
do
try
I-
to keep
Can we
watch?
set up like a tripwire with like a tin piece of metal, like a round one, like a can almost? So like,
I've got snares and cooking pans.
yeah? You
so
can
let's
set those
make like a tripwire so that if anything crosses over into our camp, we're woken up by it. Cool.
Right. Do elves need to sleep in this?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, just okay.
Elves aren't quite the superhumans they are in many other games.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. You can see at night, and you love art. That's about it.
Yeah, well, there has to be some downsides, I guess.
Yeah.
4 shifts through the night then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Can everyone make spot rolls? The
Okay.
elf and the dwarf can make their spot rolls at +2.
Oh,
+10.
yes. 23.
That is the 16 again. I fail again. No successes this
18.
running session.
Failed by marginally less than last time, but failed.
Okay. So Maldwin on watch, sat on a lichen-flecked rock in the moonlight. When your dwarven eyes, tuned as they are to seeing things in the dark, due to dwarves' propensity for mining and probably being peeping toms as well. But you spot a couple of shadows slinking down the road. Low, dark.
Humanoid shaped, or
You squint a bit and try to focus, and they're not wolves, you think, but dogs. Big wolf dogs, which are popular around here for guarding farms and so on. You can make out collars around their necks, but they look very thin. You can see their ribs through their fur at their sides.
oh, can I? How far away are they?
Well, you'll have enough time to wake everyone up, and you'll still have a little bit of time
that's what I
before they get to
was
you.
about to say. So
You
I
take
just
one
kind
last-
of go ahead and try to shake everybody, like there's something coming. Something's coming.
Okay, you're all startled out of your sleep.
What? Changed your mind?
What's going on? It's time
What's
for-
happening? What's happening?
No. It's just something's on the road, coming down towards us.
Did you see what they are?
They look like dogs, but they seem very sickly, and I don't know if they are infested or not.
Well, do we know if animals are vectors of the plague at all?
Yes, a lot of the animals were amongst the first creatures to die in the village.
Okay.
The cattle and the horses.
We never saw the dog sick, though, did we?
They succumbed a little bit later,
Okay.
so they can get sick.
Then I suspect we should get ready to fight. Or if we can make a fire, that might scare them off.
Yeah. Could I give up one of my rations and try to see if I can't tame them. I mean, as a hunter, I mean, I would assume I know that dogs are good hunting companions.
You can
fleshing
try.
things out.
Okay. So the rest of you sort of blink yourselves awake, try and get your eyes to adjust to the dim moonlight, and Angel moves out, holding out some dried sausage or something towards the dogs.
Yeah, it's made up. Not the cheese.
Yeah.
Don't eat constipated.
Not the cheese. I know dogs like cheese.
Winton looks mournfully on, regretting the loss of a perfectly good dried sausage.
Right. They crouch low, growling, and then the braver one of the two creeps towards you, sniffing constantly. Can you make a hunting roll, please?
Oh, finally, a natural 20.
Ooh.
Okay. And it rolled really low. So yeah, it wolfs down the entire sausage, leaving the other dog looking a bit upset. And then rolls over on its back on the dirt in front of you, showing its belly.
I pet it. And
It continues to roll back and forth. Its back leg twitches. The other wolf dog creeps forward, sniffing the air, hoping for some more rations.
Now, Winton's sole experience with canines is trying to avoid them when they're being used as guard dogs. So when he sees this thing, keeling over and seemingly sort of, surrendering, if he can see this, he's sort of hissed, urgent hiss, kill it, look now, go, kill it.
not killing the dogs. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and I'm going to pray that I hunt better tomorrow. I'll give the other dog one of my rations too.
Okay, yeah, you give the other one something preserved in fat, probably. And it chomps down on that. The two seem fairly happy that you've fed them, but when it becomes obvious that no further food is forthcoming, they carry on down the road and disappear into the night. Okay.
They never got any of my food.
Okay, but everyone lose 1 stamina, and you can't heal that back until you can get a proper night's rest somewhere with a roof and fire. Proper victuals. You're also going to need to cross off 1 rations each if you haven't fed them to dogs.
I didn't.
Yeah. But we had 1 ration. No.
You had one
had one ration
but
from
you
the
also
cart.
used it, and then you got it back from the cart. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, the third day of travel is perhaps the most challenging that you've faced. A slow drizzle of that kind of fine, misty rain that cuts straight through your clothing comes down practically all day long and blots out most of the sun. So everything's kind of grey and pallid and desaturated. It's just not very pleasant at all. But then the Moonstone Hills, which have seemed equally distant for the last 2 days of travel, finally swim into view and seem to finally get closer, even through the mist. And the road starts to get better maintained. The gorse bushes have been cut back. Someone's shifted a few stones into the ruts to make it a little bit more like a road. And there is Moplith, one of the first proper hills of the Moonstone Hills, compared to the other softly rolling hills, which are steep on one side and less inclined down the other. Moplith is much more of a rounded heap and almost seems like an addendum, a full stop at the end of the sentence that is the Moonstone Hills. And Moplith itself has an even smaller hill next to it. And rising up from that, seeming bright compared to everything else, on this misty evening, as it is when you arrive, is a church made of pale stone with its steeple sticking up high. But finally, civilization, and from the look of it, and the smoke from its chimneys, Fretfolk still seems to be occupied and relatively untroubled.
That's a sight for sore eyes. Well, I would assume we would approach the gates, or
Outside the city, is there any like have they let like is there any kind of like refugee area or like
Yeah, so as you get closer, closer to the hill, you see at the foot of the hill there are a few refugees bundled up. There's a few carts and wagons with tarps stretched over them, a loose collection of tents, some very sickly looking people from a lot of surrounding. Those dogs are back. May I continue, Pooch? Okay, thank you. From a lot of the surrounding crofts and other small villages. So, yeah, none of these people look particularly well, though. A lot of them look sallow, sweaty, something you saw a lot back in the village.
And is there some kind of palisade which is evidently keeping them outside the walls, as it were, outside? Or is it...
Yeah, so the road comes up to the bottom of the hill, and then there's kind of stone steps carved into the sides of the hill with stones laid on top of them that kind of zigzag their way up the hill. On the top of the hill is Fretfolk itself, which unusually for such a large village or a small town, depending which way you look at it, has a stone wall around it. An old one, mostly dry stone where it's been rebuilt over and again. But some of the fortification parts of the wall seem to be older, more substantial, from rock that's been brought from elsewhere. But that seals off the town and allows it to protect itself. There is a big wooden gate between part two of the older parts of the wall that lines up to where the steps rise to.
friends, I think that when we approach the gate, we should say we are not from the village that that we happen to come from, or we may not gain entrance.
Yes, that's
Greetings.
probably the
We
best.
are completely healthy pilgrims, come with no need of aid. Might we come in?
I have a wheel of cheese. Please let me in.
I mean, we could play it like that, but I don't think there's a chance that they will believe us if we come from the same direction and we look like this. I don't know, just thinking out loud.
And is it clear from our vantage point that the gate and other walls and the gate manned?
There do appear to be guards of a sort, probably drawn from whoever headed up the local militia. So they've got ill-fitting sort of armory hauberks, a motley collection of spears and other pole arms, and there seem to be a couple of hunters amongst them as well with bows.
So okay, so there's
Shall we approach?
Winton looks down at the cavalcade of misery stretching out along the roadside, and then looks back at the enticingly smoking chimneys or whatever it is from the inside. Yes, I think we definitely approach.
Yeah, you can see the peaks of the thatched buildings inside and the chimney stacks smoking away.
We could try though the way Engel said that maybe they will believe us. I don't know. We could just give it a shot, but I don't know. We'll have to see.
I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same story when we get.
Yeah,
to,
no, I get it. I get it.
the,
All right.
So,
Well, you trudge your way through the refugee camp, which is a churned pool of mud at this point. You reckon there's maybe 100 people camped out here? That's a bit hard to be sure, but quite a lot. The steps up are also caked in mud, where many people have apparently tramped all the way up and then all the way back down again. But eventually, you reach the top. One of the guards calls out, "Hold up, no one's given access."
No one? No one?
No one. There's a plague abroad. Haven't you noticed?
No,
no.
we've come from far away.
We've been
Then you
hunting
must-
in the wilderness for weeks.
Still, you might be sick. You might pass it to others.
Sick?
Surely you would just betray your god or goddess or spirits if you just don't let us have hospitality, wouldn't you?
Winton rolls his eyes at this appeal, which in his cynical mind is not going to go anywhere.
Make a persuade roll, Gazunda, at -4.
Okay. What's my persuade? It's a 6, so 2 total bonus. No, it would be 6, and I just subtract 4. That's a 4.
So yeah, he just laughs when you try to guilt him with the power of the gods. If there's any gods, they've forsaken this land for the moment.
Oh,
We lad.
Quite so. Terrible times. People suffer. Honest men can scarcely make a living, he says, brushing against the bag of trinkets so that it clinks enticingly.
Okay, you make a persuade roll at +4.
All right, so that'll make it a 10 plus a d20, which is 23 all told.
Hang on. My sound cut out.
Are we back?
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Sorry, you said 23?
So with the +4, it was a 10 on the skill, a 13 on the dice for 23 all told.
Nice. All right. He rubs his bristly chin and says, "Hold on a moment. We'll send someone out to treat with you." A short time later, the gate cracks open just enough for one of the village guards in his mismatched armor to come out, along with an old man with a pair of crude spectacles on a stick and a heavy silver chain round his neck, presumably the village alderman. And he come over to you and says, just you, the smelly fellow in the rags."
Oh, no. This almost presents me with a moral dilemma of whether to leave these guys.
Gentlemen, I am an elf, and I have special blood. I do not get sick from these plagues.
A likely story, knife ears.
Oh, well, no. Your worship.
It nods and accepts your bowing and scraping like a man used to it. Yeah.
For myself, certainly. And I reach in and I'll grab some. I don't know. I mean, pretty trinkets, I think they're described as. So it kind of depends on him not knowing the difference between real stones and paste, I suppose.
Yeah, I will make an appraise roll for him. Okay, he's got no idea. He's
So
very impressed.
Yeah, so the first thing is just some kind of, silver twisted bangle or something, worth a few coins. And this for myself. And if he doesn't hold out his hand, I gently reach forward and uncup his palm for him and put it in his hand. So he's kind of stuck with accepting it.
Yeah. Very, very nice. Very, very pleasant. Yes. Yes.
But for my companions, and I reach in and I just grab a handful of tat. I don't care, some tin plate necklace, whatever. But because it's a handful, the illusion is, of course, it's multiples of what I've just offered him. So I just dump it all in his outstretched palms.
Ah, yes, lovely, lovely. Ooh, yes, very shiny. And it's just the small matter of the. Should I die of the plague? I won't really be able to spend any of it, will I? You see my dilemma. And I must, of course, also protect the villagers from the ravages of this disease.
Of course. And no doubt you have plans for a pest tent, a hospital of sorts, an area to treat the sick and the afflicted. And we understand, don't we, turning to everybody else, that this costs money. Clunk another handful of tat jewelry.
Do you or any of your friends show any symptoms?
We are sound, sir, master. Depend upon it. Here. Look, and I hold out my hands, whatever if it's bubonic, does he really want to look in my groin for buboes? Fine.
Did I not mention my special blood?
So, no lesions, no vomiting, no violent eruptions of the bowels?
No.
Well, I've had to share a tent with Maldwin for the last 2 nights, so I will just a quick side-eye glance, but no, nothing like that.
Yeah. Well, I suppose we might make room in exchange for these trinkets and a small service, perhaps.
What is this small service?
He leans forward conspiratorially. The fact is that the plague has breached the walls to some small extent. We're holding it at bay for the moment, but the dead bodies and the quarantined houses are stacking up, and the gravediggers are refusing to go to the churchyard. He said there's something creeping around out there, disturbing the fresh graves. So, if you could just go and check it out, put their minds at ease, so we can dispose of our dead properly, then I'm sure I could see fit to letting you all in to occupy one of the recently vacated houses. Does that seem like something you might do? You seem like the type.
This sounds like a hunt to me. I for sure win, man.
Based on Winton's experience of Angel's hunting prowess so far, he sort of cocks an eyebrow but doesn't say anything.
It's a special elven way of hunting. You become one with the land and you allow most of your prey to escape to keep their numbers up in the wild. So it's very, very holistic.
Great, but mushrooms get boring after a while.
That depends on the mushrooms.
I wanted dog friends.
Well, what do you say then? Do you and your compatriots agree?
Oh yes, they'll certainly be glad to help. The they there was only slightly emphasized.
Very well. I'll hold on to these. You find out what's going on over at the temple and deal with it, set people's minds at rest, and then we'll grant you admittance and a house for the duration. Right, going back in, and he hobbles back off with his guard and disappears back into the village.
I do hope it's an owlbear that we're hunting.
Why have we got a shitload of crates?
As long as it's not another bear owl.
I was hoping you'd get the reference.
All right. Well, the evening is closing in. The church is obvious. It's built onto the secondary, smaller hill next to Moplith. Judging from the stone, it's a temple to Lunara, the moon goddess.
Mm-hmm.
Is this yours?
Y'all want to? Well, it's late in the day. Do we want to approach it tonight, or do we want to? What do y'all want to do?
Well, I don't know. You don't have I mean, I don't have rations anymore, honestly.
I have 2 days of rations. Actually, no, I don't have 0.
Actually, no, I forgot. I'm a halfling. I've eaten them all.
So I don't know. Maybe we can go now.
Well, yeah. Me and you can see it at night, so we can set up. I guess is there somewhere where we can kind of get a good view of
Yeah.
the whole,
The hill that the village is on overlooks the hill that the church is on. So you can get a decent view of that just by walking around the hill, around the wall outside the village. So yeah, you tromp off there as the sun begins to set and look down to the temple. So it's more of a chapel, really. So there's a big square central building with buttresses flying off it either side, and a tall spire that stabs up into the sky. All of it's built of pale rock, so it catches the moonlight as the moon begins to appear brighter in the sky, makes it seem to glow slightly against its surroundings. And there's a bunch of old gravestones and markers around it, little monoliths and markers of various kinds. Most of those, at least the older ones, seem to be made of the same pale rock that catches the light. But there is a lot of disturbed earth that you can see from here, presumably where the new burials have taken place.
What?
But with your special vision, you two are able to pick out that a lot of graves, both old and new, seem to have been dug up somehow.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well,
Witch King, can
obviously
you
let the other two know.
mute when you're not talking because we're getting a lot of background noise? Thanks. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that we let the others know as well. And I was gonna ask, what? So you said it was the moon goddess Lumara,
Yeah.
or something of the sort. What do we know about, like, the worshippers of Lumara, or the cult?
Good thing is, I can actually look that up because I ripped a bunch of stuff off from Titan, which is the fighting fantasy setting. And most of you have some. Well, I think some of you have some reasonable levels of history and so on. So, Lunara, Lunara is the name given to the moon in most of the world. Usually a female deity, but sometimes represented as male. Female here, you think, judging from the statuary and so on. Not that much, but she's a light in the night. She's a candle in the darkness.
Okay.
So she's a goddess of sanctuary and healing and safety.
Is Maldwin? Maldwin, are you asking this aloud? Musing about this aloud, or is this just for your information?
Well, at first it would be just in my head, but then I would share it with you, just so you would know as well. The more, the better.
Yes, he dwarf-splains Lunara to the rest of you.
Winton sort of glances down at the chapel, and it's like he's looking at it with X-ray vision. Lunara. They like their silver, priests of Lunara.
They do at that.
Good candlesticks as well.
Also true.
Well, maybe.
And now he's looking at the church as if it's an enormous gatto.
Damn. If the thing has disturbed the peace in here, the thing that the elder was told us about, maybe it could be something foul, maybe something that's opposite of Lunara, or since there's a plague around, maybe obviously there should be something that's connected to it, or to some degree, I think. Maybe. I just, talking out loud.
Have we seen many other townsfolk?
They seem to be staying inside the village, and as the alderman said, people are refusing to go to the temple.
But we've seen them wandering about, but even sort of at a distance.
Through the crack in the gate, you saw a few townsfolk moving about.
And I know they're kind of dishevelled and amateurish, but rural militia, yes, of course. But are they? And bearing in mind Winton's background, he's kind of used to looking for things like this. Are they starving?
Not yet, but they did have a sort of pinched and hungry look about them.
Either that, or somebody supplementing their protein. He says, looking down at the disturbed graves. In either case, I suggest that, and here he slaps an unwelcomely over-intrusive, getting into their physical space arm around each of our night-sighted companions. I suggest you two set up a watch.
Yep. Do you want to continue to watch then, or do you want to approach?
Well, I would have suggested first to just look around, but then I would have suggested to go around and encircle the chapel or the temple once, just to make sure that's nothing outside.
Okay. So you wait a while and watch. Can our two night-sighted colleagues please make spot rolls, please?
Spot checks. Okay. Let's see. Haha, natural one. It's a 7.
14.
Okay. All right. So you watch for a while. Don't notice anything else in particular. Are you all going to head down to check it out? Or just our night-sighted colleagues?
Winton turns to Gerardo.
I'm going.
My dear little fellow, patting him patronizingly on the top of his head. My dear little fellow, your appeal to piety moved me more than I can say, and I feel the need perhaps to make some small dedication at the shrine that is doubtless inside. Licking his lips. So I think perhaps I will do that.
So,
Well, I'm going.
all right. Can everyone make another spot check? Those of you who can't see hugely well at night, make your rolls at -2.
Oh, well, weirdly, 19 on the dice. Spot is... come on now, it's alphabetical. It shouldn't be that hard. 24, 22, all told.
11.
I am distracted once again.
23.
Oh, the sighted creature didn't see.
Yeah, well, you two, being a dwarf who appreciates good masonry and an elf who appreciates art, you're both horribly distracted by the wonderful architecture of this chapel, which seems far too fancy for such a small podunk village like this. The statues in particular are very well crafted. However, our two more jaded scumbags are not so distracted and are much more attentive. So as you're creeping your way around the low dry stone wall that surrounds the graveyard, you two suddenly spot movement.
Okay. Guys, there's something out there.
Yes, a
Okay.
marvelous architectural landmark.
Beautiful
No.
fluting on them buttresses.
No, I'm talking about those over there. I point to the things.
And I'll
moving.
also look for a second.
Okay.
Just
With your attention drawn and taking cover behind the rocks, there's a pair of people. A bit hard to tell in the dark and with all the gravestones in the way. Sort of jankily walking towards the fresher graves. One of them's dragging a pick, and the other one is dragging a shovel behind him. They scrape along the little gravel pathway that cuts through the graveyard.
That's interesting. How far away are they?
Well, they're walking very slowly. But so they're a good 60, 70 feet away from you at the moment.
Right.
I whisper to Winston and say, "My dear fellow, these gentlemen seem much inclined like you. Maybe you should go have a chat with them."
Glancing out into the gloaming, something about that shuffle, something about that hesitant half step that they seem to be, the way that they're dragging their tools as well. But I don't think I should interrupt their labours. Clearly, these the gravediggers have recovered their wits and are about their tasks or something. But look, the door of the temple, just there. Look.
Okay. The lead one with the shovel abruptly stops walking and turns towards where you're all crouched behind the wall and sort of cants his head slightly. Can everyone make stealth rolls, please?
Okay.
You can have a bonus of +2 for hiding behind the wall.
Oh, I have sneaky as a trait. What is that?
That's already added onto your stealth.
Okay.
24.
Okay.
I failed by 2 at 18.
I failed as well. I got a 5 plus 7.
I failed.
Too wide.
I failed so badly that actually, given my previous statement, what actually I probably do is I stand up and go, "I thought you were on strike."
All right. Yeah, when you stand up to remonstrate with the two gravediggers, they liven up much more and picks up the shovel and holds it in his swinging arms and starts moving towards you, still stumbling but faster. As he steps closer, reflected moonlight from one of the gravestones strikes him, and you see he is a half rotted corpse with the disintegrating and rotting fat of his flesh dripping through his raggedy clothing. His mouth opens unnaturally wide, and from behind rotted teeth, a mouse makes its bid for freedom, leaps onto the tufty grass, and runs for cover. But they carry on lurching towards you. Combat. Who wants to go first?
Not I. I'm the halfway.
Ranged attacks.
Yes, they haven't yet closed, so people with ranged attacks should probably go first.
Okay. So I use.
Okay, fine. I'll just throw some lightning at him or something.
Wait a sec.
Okay.
Because I think
So I use
Engel
bow.
got. Yeah, so use your bow. So that's ranged attack roll. So bow attack, d20 plus bow skill against the zombie's dodge, which is not going to be good.
15 plus 8, so 23.
23. Okay, that is a hit. You bring up your bow, knock an arrow, and fire. Roll damage for the arrow, please. I think it's 2d6.
2d6?
Might be 2d6 plus 1. Not sure.
Yeah.
So what do we got?
9.
9. Okay. Okay, your arrow flies forward and stabs through the thing's neck from front to back. It staggers onwards, but its groan, which was rising to a roar, is now cut off and turned into a husky sort of. And that's all it can really do. Right. Then one of them goes. Okay, so the zombie with the arrow through its throat closes the distance and arrives at the opposite side of the wall, trying to swing across with its spade, but it can't attack yet. Right, who wants to go next?
I was able to use movement as well, right? As
Yes, you could have backed away 10 feet. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to. Stay at.
Well,
range,
first of all, do any of the zombies have metal on them?
The pick has a metal head, but neither of them are wearing armor.
Okay. I guess I'll wait until they come closer then.
Okay, so you bide your time.
Yes.
So you're not actually taking a turn?
No.
Okay, does someone else want to take a turn?
Maldwin would want to get up close and personal with the closest zombie if he can.
Yeah, you vault over the low stone wall, and that'll put you in range with the one with the arrow in its neck. And then you want to cleave it?
So I do have a... So this is the one with the shovel, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not going to use the shovel, I'm going to use the pick, and I'm going to attack him.
Okay.
So that's a d20 plus my...
Plus your large blade, I think, for a pick.
Okay, it's a 5. Okay, let me roll.
Yeah, and you get an extra +5 because you're making the attack.
So plus 10. Okay.
Yeah.
Could have been better. 17.
Okay. So you leap across and you swing for the creature, but it twists around rapidly and cranks you on the side of the head with its shovel. You take... Well, what's your armor?
My armor is 1d3.
Okay, roll a d3. So d6, 1 to 2 is 1, 2 to 3 is 2. So
I rolled the 1.
Okay, so you take 1 stamina point of damage as it plonks you in the side of the head. You manage to bring up your arm to deflect most of it.
Damn you bastard.
Yeah.
I'll get you next time.
But you're mildly stunned for a moment by the blow. The other zombie raises its pick, stumbles forward, and swings for Maldwin as well. Can you make a roll using your weapon, but you don't get the +5 this time?
Okay, so just...
Yeah.
Okay. 17 plus 5 from the large blade is a 22.
Okay. you manage to counter its blow with its own pick, twist your pick around, and smash it with it. Can you roll damage for your pick, please?
Yes. Okay, 1 + 3, 4.
3. Okay. You manage to strike it a glancing blow and tear through some of the rotting flesh on its thigh. But
Nice.
rather than blood, dust comes out. Right, both zombies have gone, so anyone else on our team who hasn't gone gets a free go.
Okay, I am going to go up to the closest zombie and hit it with lightning.
Okay, so you close to point blank range and make an incantation roll.
Okay. $29.
Okay, it got 9, so that's 3 times what it got. So you get double damage.
Okay.
Okay, but take away the stamina cost of the spell
Okay, cool.
from your stamina. Yeah.
Okay.
So how much damage do you do?
4 and 6.
So 10,
Yes.
doubled, 20. Okay.
Well, no, because I rolled, so then it would just be 4 times 2, so 8 total.
Okay, so 8 damage. Okay. How much damage does the lightning spell do?
1d6 plus 2.
Okay, so yeah. All right, so 8 damage. That's -5. Don't think it has a. No, yeah, criticals for magic. Okay. Your lightning shoots forth from your hands, draining your own life force to power the unnatural magics. And the bolt of lightning sort of crackles up and down this dried out corpse and sets it on fire. So it is on fire. Takes an additional 2 damage. What's left of its hair goes up with a sound like a small dog. Woof. But it's still shambling on, despite being on fire. At least you can all see better now. That's, something. At least. All right. So just Winton.
Winton's never heard of Gettysburg, but he does appreciate the tactical importance of being behind a solid object when people are running at you. So he's going to get to the wall and hug it, so that if they get past everybody else, I think Angel's already withdrawn from the wall, so she's actually behind me, isn't she, at this point?
Yeah.
It's basically I'm just sort of crouching by the wall, and as soon as one of them gets close enough to him, he'll knife them, but only if they get close enough.
So I'll let you intercept if one of them gets close enough.
All
right. So new turn. Who wants to go first?
I guess I'll take
another shot.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Cross off another arrow. Who are you attacking?
The same one that I got the first that I shot through the
neck. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Make a ranged attack roll.
All right. 13 on the dice. I think I have a +8, so 21. All
right, that's a hit. Roll damage.
2d6. It's gonna be 7.
7. All right, your second arrow smashes into the front of its head, pierces the skull, scrambles the brain, and sticks out the other end. So it's got 2 arrows in parallel through its neck and its head, and it just collapses backwards, dead once more. Okay, the zombie that is on fire. Yeah, what's left of the fat content in its body and the tinder dry rags go up properly. There's like an eyebrow singeing flare of flame. It takes a couple of steps and then collapses, curling in on itself as its tendons tighten under the fire. So both are disabled.
Ooh.
In the sudden silence, all there is the crackling of the burning body of the zombie.
I look
Malvin
around
would-
for Winston.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, one at a time. Sorry. That means one of you.
Yeah, go ahead, Engel.
I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
You were going to say something.
Oh, no, I was just jokingly going to look around for Winston and see where he was and got off to.
He's crouching behind the wall. I might point out he's crouching in front of the wall, closer to the scene of the fight than you are, madam.
Can our night-sighted people make spot rolls again, please?
Yes. 15, so fail.
Well, plus. Finally, 20 exactly.
Should have given you +2 for your eyesight anyway. So yeah. Right. The firelight throws up strange shadows, and you're not 100% sure, but you think there are still other shadows moving closer in vicinity to the chapel.
Winston, I believe there's somebody trying to get your candlesticks over by the chapel.
Now, worryingly, perhaps he does actually glance towards the chapel door anxiously, as if literally he's worried about losing out at this point. But at the same time, his brain is sort of working. As a point of world building, how do the undead arise?
It depends on the kind of the undead. Zombies are generally animated by somebody.
That was going to be my sort of next question. Okay, all right.
So less Dawn of the Dead, more White Zombie.
And is there an idea? I mean, presumably, no. There's no rule against them, there's no rule against them entering consecrated ground, because otherwise they wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Intelligent undead tend to be the ones that have special rules. But things like holy water and so on should be harmful to the risen dead.
Yeah, we should have asked for some holy water from the elder man, but yeah. Too late now.
How many can I count?
Well, this burning zombie is starting to go out now. There's only so much to burn on it. It's rather horrible smelling smoke coming off it now. But in the guttering remnants of its light, maybe 2, maybe 3 figures. It's hard to tell because the shadows were jumping around so much.
I mean, I'd like to try to move within bow distance then of them.
Okay, so yeah, you move closer. The door to the chapel, the main sort of front gate, is open. It's got a great pair of knockers of silver plate in the shapes of two halves of a moon. The door is open. Inside, thanks to the pale stone and the smallest amount of light, makes the interior look brighter. But there are no candles or anything. But you do see another raggedy-looking back of something shuffling across your point of view, dragging a pry bar behind it.
And this is
Malvin.
inside. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay,
inside
thank
the
you.
chapel.
Malvin would follow Engel and just try to keep an eye out as well for the.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you move up to within sort of eye line of the door. Presumably, Winton and Gerardo are going to follow up behind.
Yeah.
Yep.
Somewhat safer distance. Yeah, you're pretty sure there's two more of the things inside.
Let's clear the building. I'm sure the reward will be pretty big for what we're doing here right now. Isn't that right, Winton? Isn't that what you want?
Winton gives a wolfish sort of grin. Well,
Silver candlesticks glitter in the darkness.
I just want to see everybody here safe and well.
Malvin kind of chuckles hearing that. Yeah, sure you do.
So from where we are, and you say the doors are open. They
Yes.
open inward or open inward or outward from our perspective?
They open outward towards you.
So we can see whether there's kind of like brackets on them to bar them shut from the inside if we had to.
Yes.
And is there?
There are.
So presumably there's going to be a bar post sort of leaning against the wall inside the porch or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that means there's going to be another way out, a smaller way out, presumably some little priest door somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, far be it from me to overstress my familiarity with the inside of empty temples, but I just point out that if we perhaps all go inside and seal the doors behind us, we've got less chance of being caught, discovered, interrupted.
Okay.
Yeah, we can make a run for it.
Let's go.
So you want to try and creep in through the side, yeah?
If we go in through the main door and then bar it behind us, so we're now in there with these two or three figures. It's at least a more controlled environment than the dark outside, where who knows how many of these fuckers are shuffling around out there.
Okay. So in that case, you want to get in, and then you want to bar the door, preferably without these things noticing, and then get in. So they're distracted with their work. So can everyone make stealth rolls at +2, please?
Okay.
Your
10.
success, 25.
Yep, 25.
That is
20.
a 14.
23.
Okay. So 3 of you are incredibly stealthy. And you all manage to creep in, silent as the grave, appropriately enough. But when Gerardo follows up in the rear, you know, two nights on the road in the damp and the cold lead to an unfortunate, very loud, very wet sneeze. The zombies inside are in the middle of trying to pry open a couple of sarcophagi in here. When the loud sneeze goes off, Winston's just sort of lowering the bar into place when this happens, and they wheel with sudden aggression on you all. So let's...
The frail halfling constitution.
Yes.
Yeah, so much for being fucking burglars, eh?
I never said I was a burglar. I said I was a wizard's apprentice.
I just play into racial stereotypes, you know.
I know.
Okay. So yeah, they react. These ones seem a little bit fresher than some of the other ones that you've seen. And before you can do much of anything, you're kind of caught by surprise. Reacting to the sound, one of them immediately lurches across the relatively small chapel and swings for Gerardo with its pry bar. Can you make a dodge roll, or you can make a roll using any weapon that you happen to have?
Okay. Dodge. I have it 6. Let's see if we can do this. That is 15 plus 6. So that's 22.
Okay, but that was strictly a dodge, so you can't strike back. So yeah, it swings for you. You do a quick little From Software game style combat roll into the pews, knocking a few prayer books and things flying, and its pry bar smashes into the ground, setting up shower of sparks where the metal hits the stone, but it missed. All right, who wants to go next? Any of you?
I want to try to use my movement to create some distance, and so that I can get a good shot off.
If you move away from one zombie, you'll be moving closer to the other zombie. So it's kind of...
All right, then I'll just back up to the door then, so that they can't get behind me. And
loose another arrow.
Yeah, I'll shoot at the one that attacked.
Okay, go for it.
All right.
So D20 plus bow skill.
Yeah. 10 total.
Okay. Yeah, it twists to pursue Gerardo closer, and as it moves, your arrow misses it and pings off the walls a couple of times before clattering to the ground somewhere out of sight.
Sorry, just a quick rules question. Not that it matters because I haven't got a missile weapon, but do you not get the +5 bonus for attacking with a bow?
You don't get the +5 with the ranged weapon, as far as I can tell. I will double check just to be sure. But you can only dodge or protect yourself with a shield if you're aware of the attack. So they're good ambush weapons. I think that's right, anyway.
Oh, and I guess they don't get to attack you back, do they? I suppose in the way that they would with this.
Yeah. Ranged attacks. It's a penalty for range. The bonus is only explicitly given for melee attacks, so yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense for the attack counter attack mechanic, doesn't it? For that to be that way.
Yeah. All right. So zombie went, you went, other zombie. Okay. The other zombie sets its sights on Maldwin and jumps clumsily off the raised sarcophagus and swings with its pry bar at you. Okay. Make a defense roll using your weapon of choice.
Okay, I'm gonna use the spear this time. So I assume it's polearm.
Yep.
Okay, 26.
So you got 26. I get +5 because it was attacking. That's only 20. Okay, so you beat it. Okay, roll damage for your spear.
Yes, sir. That is gonna be 8 damage total.
8. All right. You stab it through the mouth as it leaps down, smash your spear point through its teeth and out the back of its head. It goes limp, dragging the end of your spear down.
Beautiful.
Destroyed. All right. And that was your counterattack.
Right.
So it's one of you who hasn't had their own independent go yet. So that's everyone apart from Engel.
Then I suppose I will head towards one of the zombies and
The one that
strike
attacked
at
you
it.
is you.
Yeah.
Yep.
The
With-
one with my knife.
Okay. So make an attack roll at +5.
Okay. And do I add my small blade to this as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so +10 total. That's a 12.
Ooh.
What? It's enough to hit, so roll 1d6 and add 1.
Oh, cool. That is 5 total.
Okay. All right. So yeah, it drags the pry bar back up off the ground with that horrible metal on stone scraping sound and swings at you as you emerge from the pews and stab it repeatedly in the guts, cutting off chunks of its flesh, which aren't holding on to there too well anyway. If it was a barbecue, you'd send it back, but it is falling off the bone with some effort. Right. You are all deafened by the sound of the small little priest door in the side being smashed asunder. A much larger, fatter zombie with its great rotund belly sort of hanging and swinging back and forth in front of it bursts out of that area, dressed in the tattered and rotting remnants of a merchant's garb. It's much bigger, much stronger looking. It roars at you, deafening in the small space, especially with the door closed. But that's all it can do for its turn. So Maldwin has his actual go, and Winton has his go.
Winton, do you want to go and get the smaller zombie, and I can go and get the bigger one after you go? How does that sound?
This appeals to Winton's tactical sense and his cowardice. So yes, if the one that's still on Gerardo is, I was going to say, not inert, so ert.
Yes.
Yes, that I will, and I will try and get round behind it and stab it.
Yeah. Well, it has its back to you, so that's pretty easy. You can have a +2 bonus to your attack.
Okay, so I'd already rolled a 20-sided, so it's 23 all in for the attacks.
Okay. So was it 23?
23, yep.
23. Okay. Yeah, it twists around trying to follow Gerardo and ends up facing directly at you as you attack it, and it manages to crack you across the shins with its pry bar. Do you have any armor?
No.
Take 1 point of stamina damage.
That'll teach me. That'll teach me
Yes.
to override my natural instincts to only stab people who don't know you're actually there.
Yeah. So Maldwin then.
Can I reach the bigger zombie?
Yes, it's just burst out of the side room of the chapel, pretty close to you.
Yeah, Moldwin will basically give out like a war cry and something like "Come here, you bastard," and just try to, I don't know, try to do something.
Try to stab it. Yep. To make an attack roll +5 with your spear.
Okay, that's not unfortunate. Quite unfortunate. So it's give me a second. plus 11, 18.
Okay, so you charge forward with your spear, aiming to stab it through, and you do pierce that great belly of the thing,
Oh,
but it doesn't really seem to do much in the way of any damage,
Oh,
and gets
okay.
stuck or hooked on something inside. And the thing brings down its great fists upon your back. Do you have any armor?
yeah, 1d3. Let me roll it. I rolled, so it would be a 2 on the 1d3.
Okay. So its rotting fists pound into your back, but your armor shrugs off most of the blow. You sort of stagger under it, but the give stops it doing any real damage to you. All right. New turn. Who wants to go first?
I'll try to put an arrow in the big guy.
Nice.
All right.
Helping out.
Twist round, knock another arrow, narrow your eyes, and let fly. Okay, go for it.
13 plus 8, so 21.
21. Okay. That's a hit. Roll damage.
Ooh, 8.
Okay. All right. The arrow flies into its chest and disappears right up to the flights. It seems to lose some of the strength down its left side, but it's still upright, even with a spear and an arrow stuck through it. Okay, the big zombie swings its fists down again onto Maldwin's back. Make a defense roll using your spear.
Yep. Ooh, 26, I think. Give me a second. Polar. Yeah, 26.
26. Okay. Right, you're able to shift your grip on your spear and drive it deeper inside as it tries to strike you. Roll damage for the spear.
That is 6 damage.
6 damage.
I basically rolled 2 natural 20s on reactions or whatever they're called.
All right. So the spear twists and turns, ripping flesh, and emerges from behind the beast through one of its buttocks. You've got skewered through the belly and out through its backside.
Yeah.
It's definitely slowing down. Even though it doesn't seem that bothered by the wounds, they are weakening it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Who wants to go?
I will go next, and I will attempt to hit another zombie with my knife.
Okay. Well, it's just the fat guy left, I think.
Oh, well then I'll go up to him.
Oh, no, the other one is still up. It's just not very well. So you can continue to stab and gut this smaller one if you want.
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right. Make an attack roll. Don't forget the +5.
Okay. That is 13.
That's enough to hit and do damage. Roll d6 +1 for damage.
7.
It's a slashing weapon, isn't it? Okay, you leap onto the thing, stabbing and cutting, and manage to sever most of what's left of its tendons and musculature that are holding its left arm on. So its arm suddenly hangs limp and starts to sort of peel away down the side with flesh. But it is still active. It drops its pry bar and reaches for you with its broken, filthy nails. So I will now make its attack. Make your defense roll with your knife.
Okay. So I just add my small blade bonus?
Yeah, no +5 this time.
Okay, so it's just a regular +5, not a +10. That is a 20.
Okay, which is enough to beat it. So you stab it more and more. The minimum extra damage you could get would be 2, which means a critical would automatically kill it. So yeah, you bear it down to the floor, frenziedly stabbing and cutting with your little knife, and eventually plunge the blade through its eye into its brain, finishing it off.
See, I told you that halflings are bloodthirsty. People always doubt us, but I told you.
Who wants to go next?
Maldwin, can I go next?
Yep.
So I still have the big guy in front of me. I'm gonna try to stab, pierce him again with my spear. So let me roll with a +5.
Yep. +5, yeah.
That's pretty good. So 15 +5 +6, 26 again.
Okay, and 2d6 damage,
Okay.
I think, +1. Right,
Yeah,
it's on your
26
sheet.
+1. It's 9 damage.
Okay. Okay, so you manage to haul your spear back out of it and strike it up again. It tries to ward off your blow with its hand, and your spearhead goes through its hand, splitting it in half, and cuts away most of the flesh of its arm up to the elbow. So one of its arms is now hanging uselessly. But it is still up. Who's next?
Would I try to move a bit around him to see what's like through the back door?
Yep. Yeah. You can, so move around, you can get a look next turn.
Okay.
But I think Winton and Engel haven't gone yet this turn.
Yes. So Winton's still rubbing his barked shin. Ow! Ow! He's going to look around. He's looking for a piscina or a font or something, anything that might contain holy water.
Yes, there is a bowl before the main statue of the moon goddess.
Okay, so I'm carrying a wineskin, and water skin, sorry, and since we've used up most of our rations, I'm going to guess that that's pretty much, if not actually, empty. So
Yeah.
he's going to rush up and sort of spend as much of his action as he needs to fill it as much as possible with as much holy water as he can fit in it.
Yeah, I think turn is about 5 seconds or so in this, I think. So
Yeah,
you can cross the distance, submerge the bottle.
Yep.
It'll be about half full by the end of the turn.
Okay.
So that just leaves Engel.
I thought I shot the.
That was last turn, I think.
Oh, was it? Oh, I thought it was.
I think so. It gets a bit confusing because of the actions-reactions thing.
Yeah, so I was like, okay. Then yeah, I'll take a shot at the thing, and
All right. So you knock another arrow.
28.
Fire. Natural 20. 28. Okay. That's a hit.
And 11 damage.
Okay. Right. It rears back with its one good arm raised to bring it down and smash Maldwin again, and your arrow goes in, up, under its chin, and out through the top of its head. Its roar is cut off abruptly, and it falls forward with a loud smash onto the ground. Your celebration of victory is short-lived, however, as the ground gives an ominous groaning noise and then collapses under you.
Ooh.
You plummet downwards along with the bodies of the zombies and smash down into a heap. Fortunately, on soft earth mostly, though the paving slabs did fall as well. As the dust clears, you pick yourselves up, debris and dirt soiling your garments, covering the floor. You seem to have landed in a chamber beneath the temple, quite far beneath the temple. Old and damp, crumbling stonework infiltrated by roots and fungus. It's pitch dark outside the small pool of reflected moonlight that comes down from the holes above, and everything smells of damp and mold. Those of you who can see in this dim light can see that there are old, rusty metal cages scattered around the edges of the room. Just big enough each to hold a single human person when they weren't rusted to ruin. There are old wooden doors bound with tarnished brass standing in the east and south of the room. This is a traditional dungeon bash. But with that abrupt change of scene, I think we'll take a break for 10 minutes, get a drink, snack,
Okay.
biological issues, whatever else it is you might need to take care of, and we'll be back in, do you want 10 or 15 minutes?
15.
Okay, we'll be back in 15 minutes, so on the hour.
All right.
All right.
See you in a bit.
See ya.
Hopefully everyone's back.
Yep.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Just making sure the music's properly in the background. There you go. All right. So we had fought Gaggle of Undead at the temple, and then at the end of that battle, it had collapsed and you'd fallen through. I shall reread the description for you. Okay. After the collapse and tumbling down, caught out by roots and bits of soil bouncing from clod to clod, you hit the ground below. You pick yourselves up, debris and dirt soiling your garments and covering the floor. You seem to have landed in a chamber beneath the church, old and damp, crumbling stonework infiltrated by roots and fungus. It's pitch dark, apart from the faint light filtering in through the hole above you, far above you, and everything smells of damp and mold. Those of you with night vision can see in here, just about. Those of you without can't. Scattered around the edges of the room are old rusty metal cages, each of them just about big enough to hold a single person when they were not rusted through to ruin. There are old wooden doors, swollen with damp, bound with tarnished brass, standing in the east and southern walls of the room.
Well, that was the fall of my life. I look at the others. Is everybody else all right?
Well, Winton is certainly well enough to start trying to scrabble out, clambering up using the roots or whatever. I mean, I'm sure it is a completely hopeless task, but his first priority is to get the fuck out of this hole. And he probably can't see the doors, actually, anyway, since he doesn't have any kind of improved vision.
Yeah. The scrambling at the walls doesn't seem to do much good. In fact, it's more like digging than climbing, unfortunately.
I'd like to look around and see if there's any like fire sources or anything to help them out. Is there any on the walls or is there any sconces?
There are sconces, but there are no torches in them. Make a spot roll.
22.
Okay. And would you like to test your luck?
Sure. Let's see how the luck thing works.
Okay. So, like a skill roll d20, add your luck, try and get over 20.
Okay. 9. What's the luck? 7. Nope. 60.
Okay. And your luck drops by 1 for the rest of the adventure as well. All right. So, in amongst the stuff that fell down from above, there are some of the temple candles and candlesticks. So, candlelight, better than nothing.
Maldwin would pull out his lantern from his backpack and light it up. There you go. Should be easier now to see for you folk that can see in the dark.
Yes, but just we better have a backup, says Winton, putting both the candles and the candlesticks in his sack.
Just in case. All right. You recover 2 intact candles and 3 silver candlesticks.
Jolly good.
It's good, yeah. So we do have a source of light now from the lantern, right?
Yeah, so the warm, pleasant light of the lantern fills the chamber. It's a rectangular chamber, maybe 25 feet by 15 feet.
Mhm.
The walls are proper stonework of dark stone, even beneath the soot that's accumulated in the past. Very weathered. These roots have grown down over and around and through even the slightest gap in the stonework. Much older than the temple above, this stuff.
And is the main bearing in mind we didn't get much of an opportunity to look around, but if we can remember what is above ground, were there any structures, anything to the south and the east that would sort of give us a thing about where these doors might emerge above ground again?
You can't remember any structures that looked particularly helpful. There were a couple of like family crypts at the outer edges of the graveyard. Something might lead up inside one of those, perhaps.
And we could take either door, and it would lead to under the graveyard, or
yes, either door would lead you under the graveyard.
Right. Okay.
Oh,
Is
since
there
there's no
anything to
point.
indicate what caused the collapse?
Looking up, there's lots of holes in the ground through the kind of sinkhole that opened up. Burrows almost going all directions. It looks like the whole area has been undermined by something digging around.
Huh. Okay.
Now here, tactical necessity happens to chime neatly with Winton's cowardice. I say, Malden, wouldn't it perhaps be better if you and Angel went ahead? And I'll if you hand the lantern to Gerardo or myself, since we are inhibited in the old vision department, and we can perhaps cover it with something, some bit of cloth or something like that, so it's kind of partially shaded, the lantern, and not sort of glaring out like a fucking lighthouse under here. But also affording the two with sort of low lighty vision. Oh, they've got to invent a better term for that, because it just sounds so yeah, you might as well just say the two with NVGs, you know.
Yeah, I'll call it something in this. I think.
I always liked infravision because it just sounds so more science fantasy than dark vision or low light vision. Just sounds like something out of pulp literature.
Let's make up something up. Moonsight. There you go.
Yes, moonsight.
That's got a nice ring to it.
So if the two moon-sighted ones go ahead,
I give you Winton the lantern.
Yep, and I'll tear off the bottom strip of my shirt and use it to kind of muffle the light from, not deaden it, not hood it altogether, but to kind of to dim it slightly.
You could rub some dirt on the faces of the lantern. That would do the same job.
I'd rather be able to get full illumination by just whipping off a piece of cloth if we had to.
Okay, fair enough. You've got the cheesecloth from around the cheese. That would be perfect.
Ideal.
Yeah. Okay then.
Right. So which path do you guys suggest we go to?
Sorry, was that a dwarf asking us which way we should go underground?
Right. What do my dwarf senses tell me about these
About
tunnels?
these doors. Let's see.
I have -7 for if it I don't know.
Yeah. So the eastern door looks like it's kind of stuck in its frame a bit, and it looks like it's been forced open many times. there's scrape marks on the floor, so that might take a bit of muscle to get open. The other door in the south looks pretty sound.
I look at the first one and say, this looks a bit more interesting. I say we should go here. In case there's any danger, of course, we can clear it out and have nothing bite us in the back later. So I will go closer to the one that you said has been opened with force a few times and try to force my way through.
So that's the east door. Now, the south door, does it open in or out?
It is a bi-directional door.
Oh.
Okay, which means that most people would push a door open, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
If you had a choice, you'd push it open. Okay, so you said that some flagstones and things fell with us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to prop up against the south door a flagstone, so that if somebody pushes it open behind us, it'll fall over with a clang or a rattle or something.
Okay. Yeah. So you balance a flagstone up against it. All right. Whoever is going to try and muscle this other door open will need to make an athletics roll with a bonus of +2.
Okay, Marwin will go first to try it out. So
all right.
Let's see.
Crack your big walnut-like dwarf knuckles and give it a shove.
Yeah, he was confident, but I don't know. Something happened. Maybe of old age, he's not so, Yeah, the total is below a 20, so I guess.
Okay, so yeah, you push against the door. It grinds, moves about an inch, and then gets stuck.
Yeah.
If you get some help, you might be able to force it open, but only about 3 of you can push on the door at once.
Can you give me a hand there? Here. I yell towards the others.
Yeah, I guess I can jump in.
I
All right, roll again. This time the bonus is +6.
Sorry, can you repeat the sound
+6
cut
on
out?
top of your +6 on top of your athletics.
Okay. Okay, it's the same roll, but with a +6, it's 22, so it's a success.
Okay, so with all 3 of you shoving together, the door grinds open, abruptly loosens as whatever bit of grit or whatever was under it, sticking it, moves aside, and slams the rest of the way open. The lamplight spills in to a long rectangular chamber, damp with sodden earth. Loose stones are scattered around the floor, and scrape marks show where the earth has been hollowed out back to the ancient walls. Some of the tiles on the floor, denuded of glaze or paint by the ages, nonetheless present in relief shapes that are reminiscent of monstrous-looking faces. Wooden doors stand in the walls, bound in tarnished brass, one you just came through, and 2 additional doors in the south. One right next to you, one further on down the right-hand wall.
Well, I take a few steps into the room. Anything happened, or?
Nothing happens. The ground's a bit uneven because all the bottom tiles are carved into these weird reptilian and demonic looking faces. But other than that,
to remember if I've ever saw that stuff before.
Make a history roll.
Okay. Yes, it's exactly 20.
Okay. You knew some dwarven explorers who used to delve both deep and up above ground to investigate old ruins of the other races. Something similar to this was found in temples to the Night Dragon, which is one of the great ancient, one of the great ancient dragons that was corrupted by evil.
Oh. Ooh, and Malvin says to the others, so these are really old. And he explains what you've just told me.
Yeah.
Is there any obvious signs that the room has been traveled through lately?
There are scrapes and animalistic-looking footprints and paw prints. You can make a survival roll or a hunter roll to try and identify the prints.
Okay. No.
No. Okay, they're too mingled up for you to be able to tell what anything is. But you think quite a lot of things have been moving around down here for some time.
Can we discern which, based on the, I don't know, the footprints on the floor or anything like that, which door would be or was more used, or I don't know, what if there are more paths towards one door or the other?
Yeah, one sec. Yeah, the further of the two doors looks like it's seen more use.
Okay. I actually don't know. So I look to the others again. This time, hopeful that a better suggestion will come from them. Which one should we pick? That one, and I point toward that's further down. Seems to be have been more used lately.
In that case, says Winton, I suggest we go the other way.
The path of least resistance, or how was it?
Well, the path of fewer undead limping, shuffling, and hobbling through it. You know.
Well, we do have a job to end the threat, in my mind at least. Malvin would say. But yeah, let's take the first door then. Malvin will put position and try to just check stealthily if the door is unlocked.
Yep. The door is unlocked and it swings relatively easily. You think someone has repaired the hinges at some point fairly recently.
Okay.
The old rusted metal ones have been cast aside in the dirt and replaced with newer wooden ones, using the pale wood of roots. Okay, so pushing the door open, you let the lamplight through, and inside there's a square room about 15 feet each dimension, barely discernible. Under the grime of ages is a mosaic depicting a great black dragon replacing the sky with its spread wings. In the center of this room is a small round table in the shape of an upstretched dragon's talons. In the lamplight, gem dust sparkles on the flat of the table, and also glimmers of a small metal hammer that's laying in the dust. Besides the door you came through, There's 2 entries in the south, another wooden door, and an archway. One to the left on the far wall, one to the right on the far wall.
Mm-hmm. You said there was a metal hammer?
Yes, just a little one.
Little
It's
one, not like a warhammer.
not like a warhammer, no. More like for cracking nuts or something.
Yeah, okay.
It's a rock hammer, so all we need is time and a Raquel Welch poster, and we're out of here.
Okay.
The gym light, is it from actual gyms?
It's you moving closer to the table to get a better look. Yeah, it's like the ground up remnants of gemstones. You can see flecks of ruby and emerald and other stones are mingled together.
Now, in Winton's brain, only magicians are stupid enough to crush perfectly good gemstones into powder. So he turns to Gerardo. Well,
what do you expect me to do? I'm just an apprentice. I just got off my apprenticeship to go on a field trip to explore the world.
well, you must have learned something at that fancy school.
No, I just learned how to flirt with women and learned I liked it. Magic is a secondary practice for me.
Is it any wonder that the greenskins are taking over? They're gonna. We're doomed.
I'd like to go check out the archway.
Okay, beyond the archway is a short corridor that seems to open out into a large, round, very high-ceilinged chamber. Down the corridor and through the archway, you can actually hear wind moving.
Mm. Waldwin will also be behind Engel, just trying to keep an eye out for any threats.
I'll sneak forward to try to check out this big room.
Okay. So Angel and Moldwin are moving to check out this round room. Gerardo and Winton, are you still arguing over the gem dust, or?
Yes.
Well, once this breeze is pointed out, and there's this kind of, and is it just a sound at the moment, or can we actually feel the air moving?
It's just a sound, but the air does smell a little bit fresher coming through that archway.
In that case, rather than discussing the finer points of a liberal arts education, Winton sort of immediately looks up, sniffs the air once or twice, and probably completely undoing any tactical considerations, just goes blundering through towards the fresh air. It's a way out! It's a way out! This way! I can feel it!
All right. This circular room is the base of a round spire tower from the old temple, which is still intact, though cracked and slightly leaning. It reaches up from the buried depths of the hidden temple up towards the lower parts of the newer temple. Looking up and declaring loudly about how this looks like a wonderful way out. In the darkness and shadow above you, you see 2 pairs of big, round, red eyes gleaming down from above.
That means that I'm running on my little legs even faster to the exit.
Well, before you can flee, and pretty much as soon as Winton notices these eyes, you are attacked or semi-ambushed, I suppose. So,
Oh, no.
from above, hurtling down out of the darkness, comes a monstrous rat man, easily 7 feet tall, bulging with mutated muscle that bursts through scrappy bits of leather and chain that have been patched onto it. It wields an enormous and incongruously well-made bastard sword as it hurtles down from above towards Baldwin.
Ooh.
Not Maldwin, sorry, Winton. Winton, make a dodge roll.
6 for 10, all told.
Okay. It's a way out, splat. Do you have any armor?
Nope.
Okay.
Have I had a
take-
chance to recover any of my stamina yet?
No, because it's been constant action ever since then.
Okay.
Okay, so Winton takes 8 stamina of damage.
And if I remember your walkthrough earlier, you can drop to 0 and it doesn't make no nevermind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So there's no penalty for losing half of your current stamina in one hit or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
All right. So you are struck by this bastard sword with the massive weight of this rat ogre thing behind it. It cuts a huge gash through your fetid robes and cuts through some of the skin and flesh underneath, leaving you with a long cut from your shoulder down to the side of your hip. That you kind of fall back away from it.
Never one to waste an opportunity to try and hamstring my entire party if I can avoid it. I'm carrying the lantern.
Yeah.
It could be a luck roll to see whether I drop it and smash it. No, I'm not being highly serious.
No, you could use the lantern to, could smash it over it. But anyway, so that was one of the rat things. So who wants to go next? Just gonna note your names down so I can keep better track this time.
I'll go next, I guess.
Okay, so Garado, what do you want to do?
I am going to stab at it with my knife. Or should I use a staff for this? Staff probably makes more sense because it's small.
So you could try and hamstring it.
Yep, that's what I'll do.
Okay. So you scurry forward with your knife and stab at its legs as best you can. So make a small blade attack roll with a bonus of +5.
Okay. That is a 25.
And I rolled a 1. So it's 1, 8, 9. Sorry, how much did you get?
25.
So not quite a critical. All right, roll damage for your stabby thing.
Okay. 4 hit points, or 4 stamina points.
Okay, you sort of slide across the ground between its legs, slashing and stabbing, but it seems to be wearing like loose bits of chain and leather down there, so all you really do is score lines on its armor. All right. A second enormous rat ogre thing hurtles down from above, trying to smash Garado. Can you make either a dodge or a stab roll if you want a chance of hitting it back?
Me?
Yes.
Okay, I would like to dodge it.
Okay, make a dodge roll.
Okay, what's my dodge? Okay. 6. That's a 7 total.
Okay. It scores a critical on you.
Yeah.
Fortunately for you, this one doesn't have a enormous bastard sword. So you take 12 stamina of damage.
I am now down to 1 stamina.
Okay. So yeah, you slide through, slashing at the first rat ogre thing's legs, and then from out of the darkness descends the other one, and it drives a horrible, nasty, rusty sword through your calf muscle and rips it free. And you have a big gaping wound in your leg that's bleeding quite profusely. Do you feel faint?
Yes, I do.
All right. Who wants to go next?
Baldwin would definitely want to try and get a bit of the action. I would like to attack the one that Gerard also attacked. So,
Okay. Yep.
give me 1 second.
+5, being the active attacker.
Yes, sir. Could have been better. So it's gonna be 10 plus 5 plus 6, 21.
Okay. Yeah, so you charge it with your spear, I assume?
Yeah, spear.
Yeah. All right. It bats your spear aside with its shield and stabs its blade point into you. Roll your armor.
A 1 on a 1d3.
So you take 8 stamina of damage.
Okay.
So the armor absorbs most of the blow, but you think it broke a couple of ribs and broke skin.
Yep.
Okay. Who's next?
I will shoot the one that they both attacked.
Okay. All right. So knock an arrow, cross off another one, and make your ranged attack roll.
24.
Okay. That is a tie. So, well, no, because it used its shield to ward off the spear blow. Okay. Your arrow slips past its shield as it throws it out of the way, and you strike it. So roll damage.
It's going to be 6.
Okay. Your arrow shivers to splinters as it hits part of its armor, but several of the splinters pierce its flesh. It squeals in pain. So that just leaves Winton.
I think putting the lamp down is probably too much of a refined description. Drop the lamp would be more
Okay.
accurate. And in Winton's brain, large flying things with glowing red eyes that live under graveyards are probably demons of some kind. So he's going to reach for his water skin of holy water and use it sort of like a bellows, using pressure to try and sort of squirt these things with as much holy water as he can get out of his water skin.
And to think your mother banned bagpipe practice in the house.
You see.
Yeah. All right. You splashed the thing with water. Other than being a bit nonplussed and slightly cleaner than it was before, it appears to have no effect.
See, my mother was right after all. Bagpipes are fucking useless.
They may have been more useful than the water, given rats' hearing. But all right, new turn. The rats no longer have surprise, so one of you can go first.
I'm going to try to heal myself as best I can, if possible.
So you crawl over to the side and try and bind your wounds.
Yeah.
Forget, is there a healing skill?
If there is, it's not listed on my sheet, but I don't know whether you...
Medicine.
There's endurance and there's medicine.
It's medicine. Okay.
Medicine.
Yeah. Make a medicine roll. Physician, heal thyself.
Okay. That is a 19. Shit.
Mhm.
In total.
Yeah, 19 total.
Okay, you staunch the bleeding, but you don't like the way the muscle has gone all limp. But that's your go. All
Do I
right.
gain any stamina from that or no?
No,
Okay.
I might have given you some back if you'd rolled high enough, but no.
Fair enough.
All right. The rat ogre that's been splashed with water seems to take personal affront at this, and swings its blade at Winton again. I don't think a bottle of water constitutes a weapon, so can you make a dodge roll, please?
I was going to say that would have been my. I would have opted to dodge anyway, I think.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. So dodge is 6, so that's a total of 7.
Okay. I rolled a 1. Its combat skill is 7, so that's 8. Plus 1 for the sword it's using, 9. So it does hit you, but only because you rolled even worse. And you don't have any armor, do you?
Nope.
Okay, you take 9 stamina of damage.
Okay. Now, does dropping to a negative imply a critical hit?
It does. What
Okay,
are you
so
at?
I'm
Minus?
on -1 now.
Okay. Roll a 6-sided dice.
2.
Okay, plus 1, because you're minus that. Takes us to 3. Okay. As blade slashes your hip, you fall over and can only crawl around in the dirt for 1d6 rounds. All rolls are a penalty of -3.
Okay, so it's 3 rounds, but that's kind of what I was planning on doing anyway.
Okay.
And the penalty was -3. Did I hear that right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Who wants to go next?
I'll go ahead and take another shot real quick, I guess.
Okay.
The safe
Quickly, let fly with another arrow. Go for it.
Oops. Nope.
Miss?
8 plus 7. So, yeah, 16.
Yeah, but it's against its dodge roll, so.
Oh.
That's just barely a hit. Okay, roll damage.
Uh, 8.
Okay. Right. This time, the arrow penetrates its armor and stabs deep into its chest. And it wheezes and blood bubbles from its snout. Right. The other rat ogre with the rusty scimitar advances towards where Gerardo is crouched. Make a dodge roll, please.
Okay, dodge roll. That's a 9.
In total?
Yep, 9 total. 4 for a roll, 5 bonus.
Okay. You take another 3 damage to your
I
stamina.
am now dead, I think. Or dying.
What are you at? Minus...
I was at 1 to start, so I'm at like a -2 or 3.
Yeah, -2. Okay, roll a d6 for me and add 2.
Okay. 5.
Okay. Its rusted blade slashes down again, and it really seems to have it in for your legs. It stabs through your boot into your foot. You can only hobble around for a day, and that rattling noise probably means there's some toes loose in your boot. Okay, who wants to go next?
Baldwin.
Okay.
I will Try to attack the one with the bastard sword.
The one that just took the arrow as well. Yeah, go
Yep.
for it.
Okay, I rolled a natural 1, so it would be a 12.
That's with the +5 as well, yeah?
Yeah, including the +5.
Yeah,
So...
all included. And I rolled a 1 as well. This is
Oh my
the
God.
battle of the incompetents. So that's actually enough to hit it.
Oh
Okay,
my
so
God, okay.
roll damage.
I think you'll find I'll win any battle of incompetence.
7 damage, Pierce, yeah, whatever type.
Surely you'd lose to win, and it sets up a paradox.
Yeah. Oh well. In that case,
So
I'll
what
just hover undecided.
what did you get for damage?
7.
7. Okay. Okay. So you get a firmer grip on the spear, and as the arrow smacks into it, knocks it back, you drive the point of your spear through its sternum, cracking its ribs and piercing its heart. It bellows once and then falls flat. You're
Ooh.
just able to drag the spear out in time. All right.
Okay.
So that just leaves Winton.
In my brain, I imagined there's a sort of spiral staircase running around the inner circle of this tower. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it runs around the outside and up.
Yeah. So I'm going to crawl for the base of the stairs and start crawling up in the way, leaving the lantern on the floor and trusting that there'll be enough light by the time I get to the top.
Yeah. So you crawl over, leaving a snail trail of blood in the muck behind you. So you get to the base of the steps. Okay.
This really feels like Wolf Road.
All right. Who wants to go first? New turn.
Can I try again? Alvin?
Yeah,
Other-
you can whirl on the other rat ogre that's trying to cut Gerardo into wafer-thin slices from the toes up, by the look of it.
Oh. Let's hope he gets something back.
It's got its flank exposed, so you can add an additional 2 to your attack.
Okay, so that would be plus 13. That would be 27.
Okay, that's enough to hit it. Roll damage.
Okay. 9.
Okay. All right. You charge forward and drive your spear into its side. It pierces through some of the old rusty chain, a bunch of chain links sort of scattering off its side, and drive the spear through the side, piercing some of its innards. It shrieks in pain, a frightful sound that seems to echo through the whole complex, and turns its angry face towards you, hissing and spitting through enormous filed down and pointed teeth. All right. It decides you're probably more of a threat than Gerardo is, so it pulls itself free of your spear and tries to stab you with its sword. Defend yourself with your spear.
Okay. 15 total.
Okay. Because its arms are so much bigger than yours, it's able to reach even given the advantage of your spear. And it slashes out and hits you for 3 points of damage. So take your armor away from that.
Okay, so I reduce it by 1.
Okay, so you take 2 stamina of damage. Barely cut. Right, who wants to go next?
I'll try to pop another arrow into it.
Okay. Right, you swiftly knock another arrow and line up on it as it and Moldwyn are locked in battle and let fly. Okay.
24.
Sorry, what did you get?
24.
24. Okay. That's enough to hit. Roll damage.
Finally. 12.
All right. Yeah, so Maldwin's just been cut. You're sort of shrinking back. The thing is lunging closer to you and hissing and shrieking. And then an arrow just goes tung, straight through its head. It goes cross-eyed, squeaks something in rat, which is like probably, can anyone else smell blue? And then keels over. Distantly, you can hear squeaking and shrieking, and the banging of iron pots or something to raise the alarm. But for the moment, you are left alone to lick your wounds.
I tell Engel, grab the lantern, and I will grab Gerardo. Let's try to make it to the outside.
Yep. Okay. So escape rather and take your wounded with you rather than deal with whatever's going on down here. All right.
I mean, that's my suggestion. I don't want to impose anything. If anybody has any other ideas,
It's probably the wise thing to do.
You rapidly overtake Winton, still crawling painfully up the stairs, now whispering under his breath, "I'll give it back! I'll give it back! I'll give it all back!"
All right. Can everyone make athletics rolls at +4, ignoring any penalties you've otherwise had, because you've got time for you all to struggle manfully up the stairs and escape before anything else catches up to you.
19.
God. I rolled a 11.
Okay.
23 total for me.
oh my god, this is 17.
I think
Alright.
I've only gotten like 2 successes in this entire session.
Well, you rolled 11, or was that 11 after your athletics bonus and your +4?
No, it was 11 total.
Okay. If you failed, you can choose to test your luck.
Okay, I'll test my luck. How do I do that?
Hello.
Roll d20, add your current luck level. If you get over 20, you succeed.
Okay.
And either way, reduce your luck by 1 temporarily afterwards.
Failed.
Failed again.
Failed as well.
Okay.
This is where the party dies.
Just going to check what I've got here. Do any of them actually have any ranged weapons? Yeah, he does, but he wouldn't get involved. Okay, so you are about 3/4 of the way to the top, which looks like it emerges out into the graveyard. It looks like more of the ground kind of sunk in and collapsed. And from the top of this tower, you should be able to emerge out through one of the crypts. But yeah, you're about 3/4 of the way up when below you, you hear high-pitched squeaking and a pair of giant rats, almost as big as those wolf dogs that you saw before, come bounding up the stairs, like 4 at a time, rapidly catching up towards you.
I'll try to shoot one. I mean, right away. I'll take like front, like.
Okay, so yeah, you
The
quickly move to intercept. Yeah, you can have 2 shots on each rat to try and get them before they reach you.
All right. So let's see. First one was a natural 20, so 27.
Okay, that's a hit.
Natural 1, so 8.
8. That is a miss.
Okay. Then
3rd shot. 17. That's a hit. And last shot.
24.
That's a hit. Okay. Roll damage 3 times.
First one is 10,
Okay.
9,
Next one. Yeah. Okay. All right.
and
So
10.
you quickly move into position. Grab your arrows, knock them quickly, and let fly one arrow after the other, flying them into these rats as they come bounding up the stairs. You manage to quickly pick them off before they reach you, and they tumble and fall and land with a thump on the ground below. Looking down, you see more little red eyes lighting up down there. But that's bought you enough time for all of you to get out.
Ooh.
So you reach the top of the tower, out from the crypt. Looking back behind you, the Lunara temple is leaning drunkenly to one side, and a bunch of sinkholes have opened up in the ground. A bunch of graves have opened up, but a disturbing number of them seem to have been empty. But you're able to hobble your way back to the village. But you failed, so they don't let you in.
That's all right. You see, at this point, I think we're safer outside the walls than inside.
Well, whatever was going on there, when someone does return, the creatures down there have left, but they find barrels of poison down there. And evidence of other nefarious activities and human remains that have been gnawed upon and things like that. Who's the best at medicine out of you lot?
I think I'm a 5 in medicine.
I also have a
Yeah, I
5.
got 5.
Yeah, well, a 5 as well. So
Okay. Right. Well, someone needs to make a roll to tend Garado's foot wound, and someone needs to make a roll to deal with Winton's hip wound.
I guess I'll try the foot.
You've got plenty of time, and I think one of you's got a bunch of herbs and stuff, so you can roll at +4.
Oh, that's a 17 plus 9, so 26.
Okay. And if someone needs to roll for Winton as well.
Winton, do you want to heal yourself, or do you want to let Malwin help you?
no, by all means, go for it. Always more efficient when somebody else does the stitching, isn't it?
Okay, so the +4 was just for Engel or for me as well?
+4 for anyone doing it, as long as they've got access to the herbs and things. So.
Okay. Yes, 21.
All right. So, yeah, you managed to clean and bind Garado's severed toes, which is a horrible affront to a halfling to lose his toes. That's just terrible. Maybe you can fashion some wooden toes to replace them. And Winton's hip wound is on a necklace. And Winton's hip wound heals nicely, but it doesn't half ache of a winter. So unfortunately, you failed in your quest. Though the creatures did eventually leave, you're forced to just rest up with the refugee camp and tend your own wounds until the plague has passed. Unfortunately, that brings our adventure to a close with mixed results, I think we might say. Not exactly a win, not exactly an abject failure. Some interesting scars and stories.
Was Winton able to eventually sell the
I was going to say
silver camel?
a brief little postscript. 40 years hence, a drafty, austere monastery. As the wind whistles through his cell door and the young oblate reads to the now blind and ancient monk Winton stories of monsters and daring do, Winton, tremulously holding his cane, leans forward. Did I ever tell you, young man, how I got this scar?
Nice.
Nice. All right. So, yeah, that is Warlock. I think you can see that it's quite deadly.
Yeah, you
And-
need to like roll a 20 every time.
It's quite deadly and old schoolish in a lot of ways. Yeah, it works well with old fighting fantasy stuff because you basically don't need to do much to convert any of the monsters. Skill and stamina can be converted pretty much directly over if you want. You just need to give them some special abilities and things. There's quite a lot of stuff on drive-through for it. I quite enjoyed it. I would play again, I think, with the right team, the right players. What do you reckon?
It sort of feels to me as if it needs a tiny bit more granularity to make you slightly better at what you're supposed to be good at. Because it's the sort of the raw mathematics of it, and it's interesting that they add the +5 for the attack. That changes things a lot. You know, the number of times people are rolling 24, 27, 26 because of that is useful and interesting. And it just feels like that, you know, something like that, a variable rather than a hard target of 20, to have a more sort of flexible target number would introduce a bit of granularity and make people feel more competent at what they're supposed to be good at.
Yeah. I mean, you have like 5 core skills from your career, which should be slightly higher, but you're still having to roll over 10 most of the time.
Yeah, it's like a 12 to 14 or something, isn't it? Something like that as a rule.
Yeah. I mean, I started getting more generous handing out the +2s and +4s because I could see that, it wasn't quite working. So,
yeah.
Maybe it's just because of how I rolled progressively throughout the session, but I don't like this game. It's rolling so shitty. Maybe if I played like more sessions of it or something, I would get a better appreciation of it or something.
Luck of the draw a bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know what we're playing next time, or if T-shirt will be back able to run his games again.
So when does death occur? I mean,
so you go into negatives, right?
Right.
And the negatives are rolled as a bonus on a d6 when you take critical hits.
And once you're getting up to 12s on that table, I'm guessing it's straight out kill or something, right?
10 is outright kill.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's nasty stuff up until then. And then you die.
And then those are like, even once you get healed, those are like afflictions that can carry on with your character, like through a campaign, like.
Some of them last longer. Yeah. Most of them can be healed by a full rest and some medicine. Like Gerardo may have lost his toes, but once that damage is healed, he won't really be crippled by it. Okay. Yeah, he won't be penalized for it.
I quite like that. It's quite an elegant way of simplifying the Warhammer Fantasy 2nd edition system, where it stacks your, damage to give you the higher, things on the crit table.
I do think this system would work really well for a Warhammer Fantasy type setting. And I think Warp Star, which I think is the science fiction version of this, would work really well for a Warhammer 40k type setting. Because just how deadly and random and merciless the dice can be.
Yeah, I think without that +5 being the initiator of the attack, I think the whiff factor on attacks would be super annoying. But with it, that certainly helps. All right, well, that's it for tonight. Shorter than I was anticipating, but that's what happens when people roll badly. But it was still fun and amusing to have things go that way. Right, so like I say, I don't know what we'll do next time. I will figure that out, and I will post to my socials and to the community tab on YouTube. If you want to hang around and watch a couple of old sessions, it would help me out because I'm nearly at that first marker for the first part of monetization, which would be great. All right. Good night, all. Thanks for playing. and hopefully
Thanks for
see
hosting.
some or all of you next time.
Yep. See
Thank
ya.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening, gentlemen. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.